to welcome next 2026 Jawa Macran 42 Bobber, a bike that immediately tells you it's not here to follow trends, but to set its own. On Bike Next today, we're diving deep into what makes this bobber so compelling, its design, performance, ride feel, and whether it's really worth considering in 2025-26. First off, styling. The 42 Bobber nails that classic, stripped-down retro look. It has a low-slung solo seat, a sculpted fuel tank with subtle tank pads, and minimalist fenders that strike that clean bobber silhouette. The bar-end mirrors and wide handlebars give it a lean, aggressive stance. The new model comes in a few evocative color options: a mystic copper, moonstone white, jasper red, each bringing its own personality to the bike. Lighting-wise, Jawa has gone modern. It packs full LED illumination up front and in its tail light, blending vintage styling cues with contemporary safety. The instrument cluster is fully digital to a crisp, easy to read, giving speed, trip, fuel level, everything you need without clutter. Talking about the engine at the heart of the bike, the 42 Bobber uses a 334cc single-cylinder BSA-6 engine, mated to a 6-speed gearbox. It puts out around 29.5 bhp and about 32.7 Nm of torque, which makes it peppy enough for urban cruising and spirited weekend rides. One of the standout performance aspects is that despite being a bobber, which often implies heavy, lumbering bikes, the 42 Bobber is actually quite manageable. With a curb weight of around 185 Macran kg, it's lighter than many heavier cruisers, which helps in city traffic and tighter maneuvers. The low seat height, about 740 mm, gives confidence to a broad range of riders, even those not very tall. On the suspension front, the bike uses a telescopic front fork and a 7-step adjustable monoshock at the rear. That combination offers a decent balance, firm enough to carve corners, yet soft enough for everyday riding. Braking is handled by disc brakes both front and rear, complemented by dual-channel ABS for safety. Fuel capacity is 12.5 liters, which is good for city rides and moderate touring, while the claimed mileage is around 30 kilometers per liter. According to owner-reported data, that makes it relatively economical for a bobber-style bike. Now, ride feel and ergonomics. Because of the Bobber's minimalist design, it feels raw and engaging. The foot pegs are slightly forward, the posture is relaxed, but not so laid back that you lose control. Riders who've spent time on it often highlight that you feel very connected to the machine. It's a very you and the bike experience, not just you riding a machine. On the flip side, some owners mention that the suspension can feel stiff over rough roads, especially for long rides. Another thing to note, because the 42 Bobber uses spoked wheels with tube tires, you need to be mindful of maintenance and tire pressure. Unlike tubeless wheels, these demand more attention. Also, some riders point out that on hot rides, the radiator system can direct heat toward their legs, which is something to consider if you're planning to ride aggressively or in warm climates. When it comes to technology and safety, aside from the ABS, the 42 Bobber keeps things simple. There are no crazy ride modes or moves, which fits its retro ethos. It's a pure ride, not a tech gadget. But the modern touches like LED lighting and digital instruments make it feel up to date. Let's talk unique selling points. What makes this bike stand out in its class? First, its style. Not many manufacturers deliver this authentic bobber aesthetic with such finesse at this price point. Second, it manages to mix classic charm with modern usability. It's not just a showpiece. Third, for riders who want a single-seat cruiser that feels personal and raw, this hits the mark perfectly. As for price, the ex-showroom cost in India is around a superscript 12.06 Macron lock for the base Mystic Copper variant. That makes it a very compelling option in the mid-size retro cruiser space, especially when competing with other 300 400cc bikes. That said, It's not without trade-offs. Some owners talk about service network concerns, depending on where they live, and because it's a niche, stylistic bike, it may not suit someone looking for high comfort or performance tour. It's very much made for character, not convenience. In conclusion, the 2026 Jawa 42 Bobber is a beautifully balanced machine. It's stylish, distinctive, and surprisingly practical for a bobber. If you're after a bike that's more than just a commuter race, something that feels like a statement, a piece of mechanical art, this is a strong contender. For people who value idea, feel, personality, and vintage-inspired design more than raw power or gadgetry, the 42 Bobber hits a sweet spot. On Bike Next, I'd rate it as a bike that's not just for show, it's a genuine ride with soul. If I were advising a friend looking for a retro cruiser that's both classy and usable, the 2026 42 Bobber would be very high on my list.